If you're wifey and you know it, clap your hands. If you're wifey and you know it, clap your hands. If you really like to burn and you know they'll really hurt. If you're a wifey and you know it, clap your hands.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning into Team Forbidden's YouTube page again. It is Andrew the Collector.
And Brian the Darkness coming at you from the depths of the Shadow Realm, finally waking up.
And this is the illustrator who's just filming.
Nice. Today we have a double deck profile for Trickstars, because Light Stage is back at 2. Hopefully the next ban list will come back to 3 and we'll update again there. You be quiet. But until then, we have a double deck profile for you. Our builds are pretty different. I'm going for more of a pure build.
And I'm going for a little bit more on the hand trap heavy, but it can still combo off into some pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah, but just to let you guys know, these aren't really top tier competitive, so don't take these to your YCS or your regionals and expect to make top cut with them. This is more just for casual locals or just to have fun. You know, as much fun as you can have with Trickstars with your opponents, since they're going to be rage quitting as soon as they see Candina drop down or Lycoris.
Props for you if you do it, if you pull it off.
Alright, so without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into it. So the first off, it's going to be pretty similar. We have 3 Trickstar Candina.
Hey, I remember them. They were at the YCS that one time.
Yeah. So for those who don't know about Trickstars, their whole gimmick is that they do 200 burn damage for different things that your opponent does for each monster. When Candina is normal summoned, you can search out any Trickstar card. And when your opponent activates a spell or trap, that's when she deals her burn 200 damage.
I also remember taking a photo of that one person with Candina.
Yeah.
That's Candina.
And while you control out through that one there, your main target for that one would also be
come on, Scott.
Of course.
Yeah. Trickstar Lycoris. Probably the backbone of the entire deck. She has 2 effects. The first one is a quick effect from hand, which is not once per turn, is that you can target a Trickstar monster you control, return to the hand, and then you can special summon her. And the reason why that's so broken is, let's say that you have one Trickstar monster on the field. You can activate both or as many Trickstar Lycoris in your hand as possible, targeting the same one, and they will all get special summoned by sending back the same one. And her burn effect is the most broken and used one in the deck. Is that every time a card is added from add to your opponent's hand from anywhere, they take 200 points of damage. And then the next one is I am running 2 Trickstar Lilybell,
and I am just running the 1. The great thing about this card is that once it was going to go ahead and go out towards your opponent, lets you go ahead and get one of your Trickstars to your hand. And
she can attack directly. And the recurring effect, every time she deals damage to your opponent, to bring back a Trickstar monster from your deck from your graveyard to your deck, is not once per turn. The reason why that's so good is because when she's added from the to the hand by a Trickstar monster effect, you can automatically special summon her. Mm-hmm. So let's say that you have Lilybell on the field and a Lycoris in the graveyard. You attack directly for 800 points of damage, use her effect to recur Lycoris back. Still in the battle phase, activate Lycoris effect to return her to the hand, to special summon out Lycoris. And since Lilybell was added to the hand by a Trickstar monster effect, you can special summon her out, attack again, and then recur from the graveyard again. So you could run, like Brian, you could only run her at 1 or 2, because she can be a brick at times, but it depends on your preference and your build. And then, speaking of which, we have 2 Corvane. Each.
It's Christmas.
It is Christmas. Her effect is basically honest, to where if a Trickster monster battles during the damage step, you discard her to double your Trickstar monster's attack, and then if you control no monsters or only Trickstar monsters, you can special summon her from the hand.
Running at 2 on towards this card is actually a nice even balance. Running at 3 would be way too bricky, and you won't be able to get all your stuff into play. Not only that, running just a 1 basically damages out your resources when you really need to have a Corvine and you don't have it available.
And the last one, Trickstars for me, are Trickstar Narcosis. She has 2 effects. Her first effect is that when your opponent takes effect damage, which happens a lot, you can special summon her from your hand. And her second effect is that every time your opponent activates a monster effect in the hand or the graveyard, they lose 200. So that includes hand traps, dangers, or monster effects in the grave. So yeah, it's just a little extra burn damage, and to get extra buys on board.
And then for me, on towards the regular monsters, I will go with 3 Eater of Millions. This was an original way of playing it at the time. This one will get an attack boost of 100. Nom 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 nom. But yes, this will get an attack boost of, depending on we have what's in the graveyard, you'll get 100 attack boost. Cannot be used as for a synchro, a fusion, or
pretty much anything
material. Except for Link. And your main setup here is to go ahead and just get out of your basically a bunch of disruption plays.
Yeah, it's good monster removal because that's one thing that Trickstar's biggest problem is just getting over high bodies on the board. And the reason why I'm not Rain Eater of Millions is because my deck focuses not on battling but just dealing as much burn damage to your opponent as possible to whittle out their life points.
Whereas mine goes with a little bit more of a beatdown in an aggressive sense.
Yeah. The next one, I have 2 Effect Veiler. I'm only running Effect Veiler in here because I do not have Droll and Lockbird.
Which I just happen to have, and I have a full set. How you doing?
Yeah. But if you do have Droll and Lockbird, replace Effect Veiler because a lot of people do know about the Reincarnation Droll lockout, which we'll get to when we get to that card, but Effect Veiler just seems like a good substitute for Droll, at least for now, because like Droll, it's not once per turn, and, just really good.
Then for me, I am going to be going with 3 of the big 4-headed bathwater baby, a.k.a. Foot Fetish, which, by the way, necrophilia is wrong. Don't do it. But nonetheless...
Hey, I know them. They're the no fucks given baby.
Exactly. But yes, this one is one of the best hand traps into the game, and some people can run 2. It's pretty suffice. I would not recommend anything less than the 2. It is arguably the best one there is. And, spoiler alert... Do you want me to tell them?
Go ahead.
This is actually going to be having a possible reprint in the Crystal Beast structure deck.
Possible, but we'll see.
We'll find out.
I mean, look at the mat. It's even giving out the hint. It's got rainbow colors.
Yeah.
And then last on my hand trap, I'm going to be going with 2 Ghost Ogre, because it's always good to have Ghost Ogre when everybody does out for an effect.
I mean, she's an exorcist.
What?
She's an exorcist.
She is an exorcist.
And my last monster is Dino Resto Prankertops, like I said, to just get rid of any problematic monsters or cards on the field.
It's just a pink, bro.
It's just a pink, bro. Which it should actually be coming back at 3. I really would like that.
Yeah.
That's it for my end on the monsters. Your end?
Yeah, it's it for both of us on the monsters.
Okay, now we'll go on towards our spells.
First one being the obvious 2 Trickstar Light Stage.
Wait, hold on a minute. We have 4 now, so we actually increased our limits of 3 to now 4. So we now have 4 Light Stage, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, you got a point. It's at 2. Once it goes to 3, we're going to bump it to 3, but it has 3 effects. The first effect is that when you activate it, you can search out a Trickstar monster from your deck to your hand, which is not once per turn. So if you have 2 of these, activate the first one, search, activate the second one, search again. And its second effect is every time your Trickstar monster deals damage to your opponent by battle or card effect, they lose an additional 200, which is really busted. And its third effect, which is once per turn, is if your opponent has a face down spell or trap, you activate the effect to target it. If they can't respond with it, then they can't use it for the rest of the turn. But the end phase, it's forced to activate. If it's unable to be, if the conditions aren't met for that card to be activated, it's just sent to the graveyard. So yeah, really busted. Hope it comes back to 3. The next one that we have is 3 Trickstar Festival, but Brian is running 2.
2 for me.
Its effect is that when you activate it, you can special summon 2 Trickstar tokens. I'm running 3 because I do run my full extra deck, spoiler alert, is all Trickstar monsters, so it just helps with link climbing. And
mine is a pretty basic link climbing, but it's a little bit more onto the beat down base. It wouldn't be really sensible for me to have more than the 2, at least from my opinion.
Yeah. And its second effect is that if your Trickstar Link monster would be destroyed by battle or by card effects, you can banish it instead. Mm-hmm. And then my next cards are I have 2 Trickstar Live Stage. It's kind of like Trickstar Light Stage, except it recurs from the graveyard. And once per turn, if your opponent has a spell or trap on their side of the field, you can special summon a token, Trickstar token, for extra link climbing, and then just the 1 terraforming. Since I am running 4 field spells.
On my end, I am running 2 Pot of Extravagance, and the reason why I'm running the Extravagance is also because the replenishment that I needed out for this deck, I was actually running 2 Desires at the time, then it got dropped down to 1, now it's a 2, and thanks to the guys here on the team, they actually suggested doing Extravagance, so Extravagance.
Yeah. And then I'm running 2 Trickstar Magical Laurels.
And I'm just running the 1.
This is pretty much just your premature burial from the graveyard. And when your opponent takes effect damage, you can, while this is on the field, you can special summon a Trickstar monster from your hand. So like I said, my deck does a lot of link climbing and burn shenanigans, so this just helps out with field presence. And then for my deck, I am running 3 Dark Room of Nightmare. This card is insanely busted, especially in this deck, because what Dark Room of Nightmare does is that each time that your opponent takes effect damage, they lose an additional 300 life points, and this card's effect stacks on top of itself.
I remember the first thumbnail I did for Trickstars. It definitely had Licorice just saying,
Yeah.
"What was it again? Does this look like the face of Mercy?"
So let's say that you have Trickstar Licorice on the field plus the light stage. Your opponent adds a card. They take 200 points of damage from Licorice and 1 from the stage. And if you have one of these out, that's 2 times that they would get 300 points of damage. So that's 600. Plus, if you have 2 of these on the field, that's going to be an extra 600 from each of these, making it 12 for a total of at least 1,800 points of damage. So yeah, if you're running this build, you definitely need 3 of this to go in for the massive burn damage. And then increasing for my combos, I'm running 2 Chain Summoning. It's a quick effect to where it can only be activated as Chain Link 3 or higher. And after this card is activated, you can do up to 3 normal summons that turn. So let's say that you have Candina and Licorice. You summon Candina, Chain Link 1 to search. Activate Licorice effect, Chain Link 3 to return, and then activate this Chain Link 3 to do normal summons. So this would add back, special, you get your search off of Candina, and then you can just continuously summon Candina 2 more times to get even more searches. So yeah, it's incredibly broken.
And if you guys want to see a little bit more of a less complicated side, I'm just running my last 2 spells because we can have nice things, and Begone Demon Child.
Which I am also running because fuck hand traps. And then for my draw power, I am having Potted Desires because I like my extra deck a lot more. And I'm only running the 1. I know this is at 2, but I'm only running the 1 because I don't want to banish my deck too much. So I feel like once I get through all my resources enough and I have enough stuff to recur or use, then I can activate this as either a last resort or just the last bit of thing to get more draw power.
On towards the traps, I am going with the 3 Trickstar Reincarnation.
Which I am also running 3 Trickstar Reincarnation.
Mine's shinier.
Yeah.
Mine's
And that
shinier.
one's not secret.
I know. So this card is also incredibly broken.
Why is it still at 3 here?
What it does is that you can activate it, and then your opponent banishes their entire hand, and then they draw the same amount of cards that they banished. And its second effect is that if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to special summon a Trickstar monster from your graveyard. Neither of those are once per turn, and you can activate them both in the same turn. So it's good recursion, and it's good to your opponent. And like I said before with Droll and Lockbird, so let's say that you have this face down, and you have Droll and Lockbird in hand. Let's say they add a card from their deck to their hand. Upon resolution, you would activate Reincarnation, and then you would chain Droll and Lockbird. Since Droll and Lockbird would activate last, preventing them from adding cards from their deck to their hand, this last part of this effect would not resolve, so they literally just banish their entire hand. It's really broken. But like I said, if any card in this deck I think should get hit, it would be this one. If this card went to 1, I would be fine because of the strategy that I use. Because mine's more focused on burning rather than just screwing with my opponent's hand. As long as I get Light Stage back at 3, I don't really care what happens to this card.
It's at 1 in Japan. Why isn't it at 1 over here?
Then in my case here, I'm running 3 Impermanents. Yes, I know they're Japanese, but I like the art, and I don't care. This is just for fun. But in any case, 3 Impermanents is always good to have. It's always a good hand trap.
And then for the remainder of my traps, I run 3 Solemn Strike.
I only run 2.
And for extra negations plus burn, if I have Licorice on the field, is 2 Dark Bribe.
And I have 3 God Says No.
Alright. That's it for the main deck, so let's go into our extra decks. I think since our extra decks are just drastically different, maybe we should just go one at a time.
Whatever you wish.
All right, so for mine, since mine are mainly Trickstar monsters, I have 3 Bloom. When she is Link summoned, your opponent draws a card, just extra burn if you have Lycris on the field. 3 Trickstar Holly Angel. Whenever a Trickstar monster is summoned to zone this card points to, burn 200. And while this is face up on the field, any Trickstar monster that this card points to cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effect, so good protection. And every time your opponent takes damage from a Trickstar burn effect, she gains an attack equal to the damage until the end of the turn, and that's continuous. Next is 2 Crimson Heart. Once per turn, you can discard a Trickstar card, and then both your opponents, both you and your opponent draw 1 card each. Again, extra burn damage for Lycris if she's on the field. But if your life points are at least 2,000 higher than your opponent's, you draw 2 instead of 1. 1 Trickstar Divarides. I hope I said that right. When she's summoned, burn 200 points of damage to your opponent. And then her second effect is that every time your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you burn 200. So really good. Next is 3 Trickstar Foxglove Witch. When she is Link summoned, you burn 200 points of damage for each card your opponent controls. And if a Link summon card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can special summon 1 level 2 or lower Trickstar monster from your extra deck, then inflict 200 points of damage to your opponent. And then finally, to round off my extra deck and my whole deck, is Trickstar Bella Madonna. Her first effect is that if she doesn't point to any monsters pretty much any cards on the field at all, she's unaffected by your opponent's cards or any cards in general. So let's say that she's on the field and she's not pointing at anything, and you activate Lycris' effect to special summon her from the hand by targeting Madonna. Madonna will stay on the field, but you can still summon out Lycris. Really good. And her second effect is that once per turn, you can inflict 200 points of damage for each Trickstar monster in your graveyard with a different name. So again, just really good burn. And then we obviously have the 3 tokens because I really love these tokens.
And then as far as my build, I'm going to only be going with the 1 Holly Angel. This one's an alternative art. And as he already explained, basically dealing out for the burn damage is always good. Next up, we're going to be going with the Nightmare package. So we have the Phoenix, the Cerberus, and the Unicorn. You guys already know what these do. Basically, go ahead and start disruption plays out on towards the field, and basically screw around with your opponents so they don't have much responses. 1 Halki Fibrex, because it's Halki Fibrex, we want to go ahead and combo off with other plays, such as the IP Masquerena. We have that as well, and also the Mech Knight. And as well, we are going with 1 Topologic Tresbana, which is really, really good because we are running a little bit of a burn side, so it's always good to have a little bit of a burn. 1 Sunlight Wolf, just because it's Sunlight Wolf. 1 Megaba, it's Megaba. 1 Elder Entity Natis, because it's Elder Entity Natis. You don't have to have polymerization to go ahead and start construction.
In the links, I didn't see any Celine or Access Code Talker.
Does it really need it? Does it really?
How are you going to meet Halki Fibrex?
Doesn't matter.
Into it.
Anyways, then we have 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Evil Sardaka, 1 Cyber Dragon Nova. That's how you get out your Halki Fibrex, is your Livestream Dragon. Yes. That's it for my
there's
extra
no
deck.
anything. You don't want to have anything to go with your Livestream Dragon or something?
He doesn't need to.
I don't need to.
It's just an extra body on board.
It's just an extra body on board. Just go ahead and smack it with it.
Okay.
You're not running an extra deck, or a side deck actually.
That's correct.
So I will. Here's my side deck. So we're going to be going with 2 Nibiru, Shiny. Oh my god, it's a giant rock!
It's a rock.
I know him. It's Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
It's a rock!
I can't really see. It's a rock. It's
Then,
giant.
then we're going to be going with 3 DD Crow because why not? We could always stop our opponent from playing stuff into the graveyard. As well, we're going to be going with 3 Lancia, same thing, Disruption plays. 3 of the Ghost Reaper, because it's another hand trap and it's always good to have those. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 1 Reigeki, Solemn Warning, Solemn Strike.
Okay.
All right. As far as other side deck cards that you could, if you actually do want to try and take either of these deck to regionals, you could go the hand trap route. You could also add stuff in like dimensional barriers or anti-spell fragrance to just help slow down, the brandeds and the sword souls. But his side deck is pretty well lined up for what you need. But guys, that is it for the double deck profile for Trickstars. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Fingers crossed that next ban list we get 3 light stage. Like I said, as long as we get 3 light stage, we don't care what happens to reincarnation. But we'll see what happens, and we'll just wait until then. But if it does come back to 3, we will be updating this and possibly do another double deck profile for you guys.
Don't forget to go ahead and check out on towards our live duels and also live streams on Twitch. Follow on towards the Discord, and as well follow our Instagram.
And please like, comment, subscribe, and until that next time, we will catch you guys later.